podcast.
Bring your friends.
You can ask me about any of that. That's all open now. I know you're scared to ask me about that, but we can talk about that. Like, what do you want to know specifically?
So
Okay.
No, go ahead, because you heard some of these.
Used to do CPS cases,
Mhm.
and some pretty not great things.
But you didn't know about them in
No,
the beginning.
but-
You care to tell how that happened?
At the beginning, when we met, he said he was a interpreter translator. Great, fantastic, that's amazing. And we were driving somewhere, and he got a call, and it was a CPS worker who needed him to translate some information to a person on the phone. And
I was like,
granted, I didn't know anything what he was saying. Didn't know.
well, but you knew the
but
English
I heard
part.
what the English part.
Yeah.
It was basically CPS worker calling to tell this woman that the person she thought was her kid's dad was in fact not her kid's dad, and that they didn't know who the kid's dad was now. And so that person hung up, and
All you heard was like a fight in the background, and I
Oh, I would
could
imagine.
kind of hear
Yeah.
what was said. It was like, "You son of a bitch," and then I repeat, "You son of a," and then they hung up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I told the CPS lady, I go, "I'm not alone." She's like, "That's all right. They can sign an NDA," and like that was an awkward ride back. Yeah,
'cause I thought it was like banking and
Schools.
school stuff.
No, you didn't start out trying to do CPA or
CPS.
child recovery
child trafficking.
or child trafficking. You didn't start out trying to do that. It just kind of you open it up and it just kind of
You kind of
that's the
fell
business
into
kind
it
of-
that it
What ended up happening was that I got a call one morning. This is how I broke into this. I got a call one morning. It was like 2 a.m, and actually we were like not together, but we were friends at that point. And I got a call at 2 a.m, and I walk outside because she had fallen asleep and stayed. And I was like, "Oh crap, like she can't hear this," because it was like my business line. And I walk outside, and it's this church, and they go, "Hey, we have a kid here that is a runaway, and they only speak Spanish."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, no problem." I was like, "Hey, just out of curiosity, how did you find my number?" And they go, "We Googled you. We just Googled Spanish translator, and you were the first thing that popped up." And I was like, "Oh shit, good for Google, you know."
There you go. Google did
And-
something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And the first thing the girl says is, "Help me, I'm being sold, like someone's trying to sell me." And I was like, "All right, like you guys need to stop right now. This needs to pause. You need to go call the cops." And then like a couple hours later, like I got called by the PD, and they needed me to go down.
Yeah.
And that's when like everything started. Like they read me in, and like then after that, they told someone else, and they told like another attorney, and then that attorney told, and then it got out of hand.
Mhm.
But what most people don't know is that a lot of that stuff, like I did pro bono, because like a lot of that, like the attorneys, and she was witness this, like a church, like, "Oh, hey man, we just don't have the money," and da and it's for the state. You're doing a good thing. So I was like, at that time, the way I looked at it at that time was, well, I'm starting my business. I don't mind doing some free stuff, especially this kind of stuff that's gonna, give me a lot of experience.
Mhm.
Because I had already dealt with like drugs and stuff, and I already dealt with gangs, and I dealt with like drug trafficking and stuff.
And that was when you were in Boston.
That was when I was in Boston, like in the army. Like in the army, there was a lot of drug trafficking, man.
Oh, yeah.
A lot, like
Yeah,
a lot. I don't know how it was in the Navy, but when I was in the army, bro, you could throw a rock and there was someone doing coke, someone doing meth, someone doing weed. Like it was just fucking wild. Like
Well, we had mostly the most memorable ones I have was the guys doing coke because
coke, yeah.
I don't know why it was so. It seemed like it was popular because the guy just made rank. He made E7.
But
Just
why
made
coke?
E7, and of course he denied it.
Yeah,
And of course they did it.
Watch the mic.
No, of
No,
course
you're good.
they did the P test again, and he must have done a lot of coke because he popped again. I was like,
Yeah,
'cause
that's
if
normal
we're under-
average system within less than a week.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if he was hitting bumps through the week, and that's why I was still on the system. Anyway, so it's E7.
Mm.
They're gonna kick him out, but they bust him down to 5 and let E5 and let him retire. I was like, he knows somebody.
Yeah,
He knows
dude.
something
But
or somebody.
he lost,
Or he knows something that
but he lost a lot of money though. Like that's
he
the
did.
thing. He probably
he
lost a
did.
lot of money.
So,
No, man. So that's how I got into that. And like that was just one case. I had another case where it was two girls that was a similar situation. And like that was like a big one because that case they tried to keep it under wraps. And at one point, I think it was either that case or there was another case where I was walking outside the courthouse. And obviously, like I'm with, the kids.
yeah.
Like whenever they're I'm right there. However, I don't stay with the kids unless the CPS worker was there. Like never. That's one thing that
So
I
you're
was
not
like,
you're not actually
never.
chaperone. You're just there.
No, bro. I'm the fucking interpreter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's it.
The C
Yeah.
CPA's there.
The
And
CPS
you're
worker.
or CPS work. You're there with the CPS.
Yeah, I'm with the CPS
You're
worker.
not
No,
escorting
bro.
by yourself.
No, bro.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I am the interpreter. That is it.
Okay.
You don't talk to me. That's why I say language ninja. Because what people don't understand is I'll give you an example, right? Have you ever seen the pictures of Trump whenever he visits other countries and he's with dignitaries?
Yeah.
They're always what? In chairs like this leaning on each other, right?
Yeah.
You ever notice how they crop the side? You know why? Because the
there's-
fucking interpreter is in there with a notebook and writing with one hand and going, oh, what did he say earlier? And then the interpreter has to like go back. Oh, he said this. So like you don't see that. That's why I
Yeah.
say interpreters are like fucking ninjas.